I have vivid memories of The Lion King being one of the first movies that I really loved, and that I really understood. I don't mean in any kind of deep emotional way, I mean literally understood what was going on. I was 2 when that film came out, but it was in the small Disney VHS collection on our shelf, and I watched it over and over. You know, whenever I wasn't watching Thomas the Tank Engine, of course. Like a great many people out there who were waiting for this year's The Lion King to come out, I had a lot of nostalgia riding on this, and I really wanted it to be another classic. But I didn't have stellar hopes. The other live-action remakes that have been released in recent years were never terrible, but nobody would say they were unforgettable classics. Riding in on a legacy like that, it felt like The Lion King was already starting out on the wrong foot. Or, you know, poor. But you'll be glad to know, it's not a bad film. The story is based around many of the same plot points as the animated original, with some additional scenes that bring up this film's runtime to a half an hour longer than the original. I'd say it's still a good movie for kids, but if you've got very young children, I'd say be mindful of the fact that now they've made the animals look incredibly realistic, the fights and deaths have become much more graphic too. In fact, the film as a whole has a darker tone that some people are describing as more Shakespearean. It definitely leans more heavily into the drama. There are still plenty of light-hearted comedic moments to keep the tone running high. Just maybe not as many as the original. The trailer footage does a fantastic job of showing how beautiful the CGI is, but really watching the film is another experience entirely. The recreation of the opening sequence where the animals gather for Simba's birth at Pride Rock hit me so hard in those nostalgia feelings, and it was so beautiful that I nearly teared up. The animals don't just look great. Clearly a lot of work went into analysing how each species moves. The animation of the animals really heightens the realism, and at some points you seriously forget that you're watching animation and think you've been watching some kind of incredibly dramatic episode of Planet Earth. But the realism is... The animals are all designed to look as close to real life as possible, and real animals aren't really known for being hugely expressive or displaying a lot of emotion. In that sense, visually, it's kind of just not as fun as the original one was. The psychedelic musical sequences from the cartoon Lion King are long gone, and the musical scenes in this year's Lion King don't punch as hard as they used to. The voice acting does a lot of the heavy lifting here, but because of the way the animals' mouths move, sometimes the voice coming out of the animal really doesn't seem right at all, and ruins the immersion a little bit. I'm going to give this film 3 out of 5 stars. It's still a fantastic tale, and I highly recommend you to go and see it with measured expectations. It's not going to be a timeless classic like the original was, no way, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. It's a visually stunning spectacle with a cast of incredibly talented performers, and I will definitely be buying that soundtrack. What did you think of The Lion King? Let us know in the comments below, and for all the latest films and games, visit us in-store or at webuy.com. See you next time! CeX.